Hey there, fellow classic comic collectors. As always, I'm Scott Harris King, and today I'm back with another store visit. Two stores, in fact. Now, as I mentioned in my last video, I spent a whole afternoon just driving around to some stores north of Boston, three of which that I'd never been to before. And so that's always exciting. And so today I'm going to be talking about two of those. One of them is New England Comics in Medford, Mass., and the other one is Hub Comics in Somerville, Mass. So let me put them both up here on the map so you can see them. Now, I've mentioned New England Comics before. It's a chain of comic book stores. There used to be 7 of them. There used to be 2 of them north of Boston, one in Medford and one in Harvard Square in Cambridge, and 5 south of Boston. 2 of those stores have closed, so now Medford's the only store north of Boston, and there's 4 other ones south of Boston. So those I have not visited yet for my YouTube channel. I've been to the main store in Quincy. They have a lot of cool stuff there, so I'm hoping to get there for you guys soon. But the other ones I've never been to. The only one of the other New England comic stores I'd ever been to is the one in Harvard Square, which is closed now. So I was excited to get out to the store in Medford. We're going to start there. I got a little bit of video of the outside. But the store itself was not quite what I was hoping for. It's not to say you won't find something good there, but basically when I went in there, I don't have any video of the inside. The worker there was not the owner, and he wasn't sure whether it's allowed. So, we decided that I better not record. But basically, and the worker that was there only works 1 day a week on Sunday. I asked him about the back issues, and he was kind of like, they used to have them, but all of a sudden they don't have them anymore. So what they have is they have 2 great big tables with long boxes for dollar bin books. Now, most of them are recent. I spent a little bit of time going through it, and it was like a lot of stuff from the last 10 years and a bit of stuff from the 90s and late 80s. That was basically it. So I spent 10 minutes or so going through those. I got a couple things, but they basically didn't really have much. They had a few back issues up on the wall, so like their keys, but again, they were mostly like modern variants, whatever. They had a few back issues, Silver Age things, but it was only a handful. The rest of the store is now basically they have some new books, and they have a lot of graphic novels, a lot of trade collections. So if you're into trades, that sort of thing, they have quite a array of stuff. And so if you're in Medford, why not? But for me, I'm looking for the old back issues, and I'm looking for obscure back issues. They didn't really have anything I was that interested in. I did pick up a couple things, though, so I'm going to show you what I got. I always want to support the stores, even though this is not my kind of comic store. I still want to support them. It's really important to keep these stores open and going, so I always try and buy something when I go to any store. And so we start off with my default. If I can't find some comics that I really want, I buy supplies. So I bought some bags just so I can, get them some money. But I did get a few comics. Out of the dollar bin, I got this. It's Faith #1 from the Valiant relaunch. Now, Faith is a character who had originally appeared in Harbinger. And is a character that I think is really interesting because the character is, an overweight woman. And you don't see that much in comics. Usually the superhero has the ideal, super trim, muscular form, but also particularly with the female characters, as you know, it's a lot of TNA and a lot of ridiculous looking, boobs and butts and stuff. But with Faith, they have a much more realistic character, and it's cool to see a character like this having her own series, being taken seriously. I've heard of the character, but I've never read anything with Faith in it before. So I wanted to give it a try and see how it is. The other thing I got out of the dollar bin, right at the end, I was really excited because I found some magazines. And the first one in the front was an issue of Back Issue for $1. And this is the one about TV Toon tie-ins. So this is all about the, as it says, the licensed comics based on Saturday morning cartoons and that sort of thing. So I was really excited when I saw this because I was like, whoa, if we've got this stuff in the dollar box, I'm gonna get a bunch. They didn't have any others. They did have 3 or 4 issues of Heavy Metal with a $10 cover price, the recent ones for $1 each. I considered getting those, but frankly, I knew I would never really read them. So I was happy to get this. A little disappointed they didn't have more. So those are the only 2 things I got out of the dollar bin. They did have, I found a couple small shelves that had local indie books, self-published creators. And so I got a couple of those specifically for those of you who have watched my live streams. When my last Kickstarter ended, at the end of June, I did my typical Kickstarter closeout bash. That was for the first issue of Quest, my new epic fantasy series that I'm writing and self-publishing. And there was a guy who I had met before at a local convention because he's from the area, named George O'Connor, and his Kickstarter for his trade collection of Charlie's Spot, his comic Charlie's Spot, was ending at the exact same time as mine. So he came on as a guest and we talked about our titles. Well, when I had met him at the show, I only got the first issue. It's a 4-issue series, and they had the rest of them. So I wanted to support George. I wanted to support the local, self-published comics, indie creators. And also it was a cool story. So I got issue 2. Here's issue 3. And here is issue 4. This is a variant cover. There was a whole series of variant covers where it was these portraits of the characters. And the back cover is a map. I mean, basically, this is like a classic, almost like a Lord of the Rings sort of epic quest, except it takes place in modern day, and all of the mythology about it, everything takes place in this city park. It's basically about this guy who's like a panhandler, and he's been away from the park for a while because he was in the hospital, and when he comes back, his spot has been taken by somebody else, and he has to go on this quest. And we learn all about the different subcultures and different, buskers and jugglers and, beggars and whatever, all the different people that who operate in the park and how the ecosystem works. So it's kind of fun. So I was really happy to get the other 3 issues of Charlie Spot. I did like the first one. A lot of times when I go to conventions, I'm trying to spread the money around. I don't really know what's going to be good or not. So a lot of times I'll just buy the first issue of everything. And that was one that I liked. So I wanted to get the rest of them. And now I have them. So that was it for that shop. Again, that was New England Comics in Medford. A little bit of a disappointment. Second store, let's show some video because I do have some video of this one. Now this, again, is not really my type of store, but it's really great. It's called Hub Comics. It's in Somerville, Mass. They do have some back issues, not a lot. Mostly 80s to the present. They had a few key back issues, but again, they're mostly like modern first appearances. But they have an unbelievable selection of graphic novels, not just trade collections of the Marvel DC stuff, but huge selection of indie graphic novels, like tons of stuff, like a massive. I didn't even really look at them very much because that's not really my jam, but that's the sort of stuff my wife loves. And it's a good thing she wasn't with me because she would have spent a lot of money there. So Really cool store, small but really clean. Great selection there. Now, this is the store I had mentioned in the last video that I got something a little bit odd for me, and I kind of took a flyer on this, so I don't know kind of what I was doing, but one thing they had there that was a little bit odd is in their back issue section, the thing they had the most of was issues of G.I. Joe. They must have got a collection in from somebody, and so they had all these issues of G.I. Joe from the more recent IDW continuation of the series. Now, when the original series ended in the mid-90s, and the license bounced around, eventually went to IDW. They had some like relaunches, but eventually they got Larry Hama back on the book, and they picked up the numbering where Marvel left off. Marvel's last issue was 155. The IDW had a 155.5, and then as like an intro issue. Then they started up with 156. That series is just at issue 300. And, the G.I. Joe fans are hardcore, really dedicated fans. So this is a book that I think has had a pretty small print run for pretty much, the last 10 years. But the people that want to get it. And so I was looking through the back issues, and they had them priced like $10, $15, $20 an issue. And I looked on eBay, and sure enough, a lot of these issues do sell for $8, $10, $15 an issue on eBay, not even counting the shipping. So I was like, well, that's really interesting. And then I looked in their dollar bin, and they had a whole nother run. I don't know why, but they had, starting with issue 181, they had a whole bunch of issues of G.I. Joe, and they had them over here in this box. They had copies that were bagged and boarded, $15, $20. And then over here, they had really nice, high-grade copies that were not bagged and boarded, and they were $1 each. And in fact, they gave me a discount when I bought them. So I ended up buying a huge stack of these, and I paid $13 for the whole thing. So it was only like 60 cents each. I don't know what I'm going to do with them yet. I will probably end up, if I put them on eBay, I don't really want to sell them individually, just because it takes so long. So I'll probably just see if I can sell them all as a lot. I am going to at some point be relaunching the Dollar Bin Trading Challenge. I don't know if we have any G.I. Joe fans. This is a very specific lot, but I might put it in there. If there's anyone out there watching this who's interested in these issues I'm about to show you, let me know, and maybe instead of selling them on eBay, I'll put them in the next Dollar Bin Trading Challenge, and we can work out a trade, because I got a lot of them. Here we are. I'll just go through them here. 181, 185, 195, 196, 197. This is the only one that's kind of in a little bit worse. It's just got a bit of a ding on the corners, but kind of bent, a little grubby. These are all in really nice shape. It's clearly like, I think, store stock, I want to say. There's just no one ever bagged and boarded them. This one is just a little bit lower grade than the others. Anyway, 197, 198, 199. Missing issue 200, but we've got 201, 202, 203, 204. I told you I got a lot of these. 205, 207. We're missing 206, but 207, 208. And again, I didn't look up all of these, but I looked up quite a few of them. And this is a book, is like, I can see sold copies, not what people are asking for, but actually sold copies of this for $15 on eBay. We're missing 209 and 210. We got 211, 212. Now, most of these have variant covers. And there's like a whole series of variant covers that look like the action figures. I get the impression that some people, just from a quick look on eBay, some people collect just the action figure one, but other people just want the regular ones. 213. Missing a couple more. 216. 218. Now, these don't have numbers on the front. This next couple of them, but it's still continuing the numbers. It's 219. 220. See, it's labeled Cobra World Order. Doesn't say 220. They obviously decided at some point they needed to put it back on there because we get Cobra World Order is still there, but now we've got the numbering back. 221, and it says Part 3. And then 222. So I haven't counted them up. They charged me $13. So I'm guessing there's 26 of them. It's just a guess, but I think they probably just charged me 50 cents each. Again, they're all in really nice shape. I'm not sure you're going to get any 9.8s, but I think a lot of these are, 9s, 9.2s. So really nice books for 50 cents each. And again, they're all like $8, $10, $12, $15 each on eBay. So there's quite a lot of value here. I mean, I think based on sold prices on eBay, this is probably over $200 of books. I just don't know quite how to sell them. So if you really dig that and you need these, you're a G.I. Joe person, you want to trade for them, let me know. And again, next time I do a dollar bin trading challenge, when I get an open slot in my trading list, I'll put in the whole lot, and we'll have like a discounted trading. I don't know. I'm just not sure what to do with them. But really cool. I collected G.I. Joe as a kid. My first issue I think was 35. It might have been 34. And I read for a couple years. But once they introduced Serpentor, I thought he was really stupid. So after issue 50, my interest in the book really went downhill pretty quickly. I was also getting older. I didn't like the cartoon as much anymore. I wasn't playing with the action figures. And since the stories were taking a turn that I didn't like, I dropped it. But I do have some nostalgia. I was a G.I. Joe kid. So even though I probably won't read any of these, it's fun to have them. So two interesting stores. Again, both of them really good if you want if you're into trades. I think the New England Comics was mostly mainstream stuff, or more mainstream stuff. Hub had just everything, so that was a really cool store. I got some really cool stuff there. These G.I. Joes, really interesting. Don't know much about them, but that's it for this time. Next time around, I'm going to conclude this little adventure that I had with my fourth and last store. This is the one I've been to before, but it's one of the big ones, because next time I'm going to talk about Kamikaze in Davis Square. And that's one you won't want to miss, because that place, I didn't get any video on the inside, but I'll have to tell you about some of the crazy books that they have there. So that's next time, but for now, let me know what you think down below, and I'll see you later.